Good morning, everyone. My name is Lorenzo from Mawar School, and I would like to present my PDP project titled "How Does Ethnicity Influence Consumer Preference for Food in Singapore and Australia?" My advisors for this group were Mr. Crystal and Mr. Kidin. Food is more than just something we eat. It is a part of our culture, tradition, and even our identity. In multicultural societies like Singapore and Surabaya, where you have Chinese, Indian, Malaysian, Singaporean, and Indonesian people, they all have their own traditional dishes. However, each city presents culture through food is different. Singapore tends to have more fusion foods, while Surabaya keeps each ethnicity's dish separate. This led me to my main research question. How does ethnicity influence consumer preference for food in Singapore and Surabaya? First of all, this study is important because it helps us understand how does culture and globalization influence our food behavior. Second, for businesses, it helps them design menus and market more effectively. And for policymakers, it helps them protect cultural heritage. The research methods I used for this project were qualitative and quantitative methods. I created a Google Form survey targeting people in Singapore and Surabaya, asking them questions such as their ethnicity, age, and food behavior. I also did 2 interviews with experts, Ms. Lucia and Ms. Melly, in order to gain personal insight. The survey included questions such as whether the participants joined cultural celebrations and what were the most important factors in deciding what to eat. For example, is it price, taste, or convenience? Based on the surveys and interviews, you can see a clear difference between the results of Singapore and Surabaya. In Singapore, traditional foods are eaten mostly during festivals. For everyday life, the most important factors were taste and convenience. Social media also plays a strong influence. The younger generations prefer global foods, while older ones maintain their traditional habits. In Surabaya, traditional foods can be seen almost every day. It is taught in the family, and the most important factors for everyday life is taste and price. Younger generations are trying global foods, but they still prefer traditional foods. In Singapore, their ethnicities live side by side, and they each maintain their own traditional foods, which are eaten during festivals. It is seen as something more symbolic and as a form of cultural identity. Everyday life, their diet is more globalized. It could be because Singapore is a fast-paced city and they are more exposed to foreign foods. In Surabaya, where there are Japanese and Chinese people, traditional foods are eaten almost every day. Families share and teach recipes. So people grow up eating these foods, which could explain why they prefer them even when there are global food options available. In conclusion, ethnicity does influence food choices. Surabaya remains strongly connected to tradition, while Singapore has more fusion and cultural blending. Even with modern influences, traditional foods still serve as a symbol of cultural identity and pride. I have 3 key recommendations. First, for policymakers, they should increase youth engagement in traditional foods. It could be through food heritage festivals or even school projects. Second, for businesses in Singapore, they should promote fusion foods that match the local taste. For businesses in Surabaya, they should sell traditional foods at an affordable price. And lastly, for future research, I suggest they look into how income, social media, and generational change can influence food preferences further. Thank you for listening.